everybody, welcome. It's Juliet here, and today we are actually going to be making a bracelet. I know I don't really do a lot of bracelets. I've made this a little bit too large for me, but I'll tell you in a second about the sizing. And I've just got a lobster claw clasp on mine, but you can do any kind of clasp you want. So I'm calling this the Hall of Mirrors bracelet because this has come out of using supplies out of the colorful Carnival treasure box, and these mirrored cube beads and the way that it's kind of wavy just remind me of, if you haven't been in one, maybe you've seen them on the movies. You're at a fairground and you go in and there's all these weird mirrors that make you look short and fat and wavy and stuff. So that's kind of what it reminded me of. That's where the title came from. Anyway, so we're going to be using these round trios here that came in our box, and these colorful rondelles. These are 3x4mm rondelles. And these really cool cube beads. I don't think they are available on the website. I couldn't find any on the website, but you can use, if you don't have these, you could use 4mm bicones or any other 4mm bead to replace those, okay? And then you just need some seed beads. And I happen to be using from last month's treasure box, the Azuki collection. I'm using the silver ones out of that, and then we actually did get a little clasp set as well in our treasure box. So I will put links for everything that I'm using down below. Now I used 21 of my round trios here, okay, and my bracelet, like I said, it's a bit too big for me, is like 8 over 8 inches with the clasp on. I would say use 19. Make sure you're using an odd number of round trios, okay? So if you have like a 7.5 inch wrist, use 19. You might even want to use 17 and then just put an extender chain on. You can kind of see how long it's going to be when you do your first row, and then adjust accordingly. I don't know why I thought my wrist was bigger. I don't really wear bracelets that much, but anyway, I love how it looks. I think it's really fun and colorful and cute. So, all right, let's dive in. Okay, so I'll quickly run through the materials for you. So if you have the treasure box, if you're a subscriber to the treasure box, you'll have these exact beads that I'm using. But if you are not, you can substitute, and obviously you can change any colors to suit the look you want. So these are some 3mm stringing length by 4mm wide rondelles that came in our box. These are gemstone beads, so they're just faceted rondelles. So any 3x4mm faceted rondelle, make sure that they're shorter, they're so see, they're shorter this way than they are this way. They're bigger across than they are stringing length, okay? Then we got these really cool 4mm crystal cubes, which are no longer available on the Potomac website, but anything that's 4mm would work. So if you have 4mm bicones, for example, that would work. And if you want the same kind of fun house, mirrored house look, you could use the ones that are kind of silvery coated, get the same look, okay? Then here I have some round trios that, again, this finish came in our box. There is a similar finish on the website, a couple similar finishes on the Potomac website, so I'll put a link down for that. And then you're going to need some 11O seed beads. And if you have the box, you will also be able to use your lobster claw clasp for finishing off, okay? So if you don't, use any kind of clasp that you feel like, okay? All right, I am using dragon thread in a size 6 today. And I'm just using a size 10 beading needle, which is the wider one, okay? All right, so get yourself about 3.5 feet, 3 feet of thread. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick up your round trio, one of your round trios. So they have 3 holes, so you're gonna go through the middle hole of the round trio, and then you're going to pick up 1 seed bead, and you're gonna go back down that middle hole, okay? So that is going to hold us in place for now. That's kind of our stop bead, but it's also part of, like, that's the end of our bracelet, okay? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up a rondelle and then a round trio, rondelle, round trio. And so when you're doing this, do it to the length that works for you, but try and pick up an odd number of round trios, okay? So I'm gonna pick up a yellow, and I'm using this fun mix. So a yellow and then a green, and make sure that you do check your holes, because I did find one round trio that only had 2 holes in it earlier of mine. So then I'm going to pick up a blue, and then making sure that you're going through that middle hole, you're going to pick up a red and push all of that down. And you're going to continue this until you've got 21 of your round trios on with a colored rondelle in between, okay? So I don't think you need help doing that. I'll do that off screen and then I'll come back. Okay, so once you've finished adding all of your beads on, using that middle hole, if you did 21 like me, you'll finish on a red. If you're doing the same pattern, yellow, green, blue, red, yellow, blue. But it doesn't really matter what color you finish on, okay, if yours is longer or whatever. Make sure that if you are doing longer that you add 2, you have an odd number of the round trios, okay? And just double check really quickly that you haven't missed any or added 2 by mistake like I did just a minute ago. So just double check before you move on, because it's a pain if you have to pull your whole bracelet apart. Okay, so you're gonna pick up 2 seed beads, and into the end round trio, you're going to go into one of the side holes, and it doesn't matter which side hole you go into, just pick one and go into that. And then pull nice and snug so that there's no slack in your bracelet. And if you need to, you can always also pull on the other end at any point, if you discover you've loosened up somehow, okay? All right, so we're now gonna pick up 2 seed beads. You're gonna look at your first color, mine's red here at the end, okay? And I'm gonna pick up one of my crystal cubes, and then you're gonna look at the next color, which is blue for me, and then you're gonna pick up 2 more seed beads. So you should have 2 seed beads, a rondelle, a 4mm bead of some sort. It could be a round as well. It could be anything as long as it's 4mm stringing length, and then your next color, and then 2 seed beads. All right, push those down. And you're gonna sew into one of the side holes so you're gonna skip over one of your round trios, and you're gonna go into one of the side holes of the next round trio. It doesn't matter which hole you go into, because it will all pull onto one side by itself, okay? All right, so we're gonna repeat this. You're gonna pick up 2, and then here I have a green, and then I need a cube, and then I have a yellow, and then 2 seed beads, and then I'm gonna pop into the one right after the yellow, one of the side holes, okay? Like this. And you're gonna go all the way down doing this, and this is why you need an odd number. If you have an even number of round trios, this won't work. So make sure you have an odd number of round trios, and just make sure that you're not accidentally picking up too many or forgetting to pick up your seed beads, okay? So when you get to the end of the row, make sure you double check that. All right, so I'll continue on off screen and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, so I finished that, and I'm coming out of the side of my round trio at the end here. And just again, double check that you do have your 2 seed beads here. It's when you're trying to concentrate on what color you're picking up, it's so easy to forget. So just double check before you move on that everything is correct, okay? And then we're going to turn around here. So we're going to pick up 1 seed bead. We're going to go through the seed bead that is attached in the middle here, okay? So just sew through that. And then you're going to go pick up 1 and go down the other side hole, okay? So that okay. And the thread that's there from the beginning, just kind of try and ignore that. Just make sure that you pull to make sure there's no slack in this area here. And I find it easier to flip it around so that I can work, just because I'm right-handed, so I can work down the row. Work back down going right to left. It's just easier for me. If you feel that it's easier to flip over, go ahead. If you just want to work back the other way, then that's fine as well, okay? All right, so you're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So you're going to pick up 2 and then whatever color, and then 1 of your cubes and a green and 2, and then again you're going into the one after the green one. So this side should look exactly the same as the other side. Let me just get that starting thread out of the way. Okay. So again, pick up 2, and then I've got a blue, then I've got a red, and then I pick up 2. Okay. Getting caught on everything here. Okay. Sorry. All right, so continue to work your way along. I need to just tighten this up. Okay, there we go. I had a little bit of slack in there. It's okay if there's a tiny bit of slack, that's not bad. Anyway, so go ahead, work all the way down on this side, doing the same thing that we just did. And when we get down to this end, I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I've just come out the end here. My thread is getting very short, and I'm going to leave this so that I can attach on my clasp in a minute. So all I'm going to do at the end is pick up 1 seed bead. I'm going to go through the 2 that are already here. And then I'm just going to leave that thread to hang for now, okay? All right, so you're going to grab a new piece of thread about the same length, about 3 feet, okay, 3.5 feet. And thread that up. Okay. And just before you move on, again, double check that you haven't missed any of the seed beads and all the beads are correct. You haven't missed anything, okay? So easy to do when you're doing something simple like this is when you make more mistakes than when you're doing a complicated project. At least I do. So anyway, okay. So I'm going to go through these 3 seed beads at the other end here. Not the end where I just left my thread, but the other end. And I'm just going to let that hang. If you want to, you can put a stop bead on to stop yourself from pulling it through. Okay, so once you're coming out from the 3 beads at the end there, you're going to go down the side bead nearest whichever end you're at. Okay, so go down the side hole of that bead, and just be careful not to pull it all the way through or anything, okay? All right, we're gonna pick up 4 of our seed beads. Okay, and you're gonna go into the very next, the one that's in the middle, the round trio, one of the side holes of that round trio. Okay, and you're gonna pull. And it's going to form a little loop of beads that goes over these end rondelles here, okay? Then you're gonna pick up 11 beads. All right, so 3, 6, 9, 11. And you may want to, if you're using different seed beads, you may want to experiment. You may want to use 12, you may want to use 10, but for me, I found that 11 looks the best, okay? You're gonna push those down. So I'm coming out of my bead right here, and I'm gonna go into this bead, but I'm gonna go underneath that, the beads, the loop that is there. And then I'm gonna come out on the top, okay? So my beads, my little line of beads is coming out on the top, and then I went under, and then I'm coming out, and I'm coming out on the top. I'm gonna pick up 11 more. Okay, so I'm always double checking with 11 because I accidentally, when I was practicing, I picked up 12 and it looked terrible for that one loop. So just make sure that you're picking up whatever number you decide is best. So again, I'm coming out over the top. I'm going to go into the bottom and come out on the top of that next round trio that's in between all those beads, okay? So you can see we're kind of creating like a wave here. So we're going over, under, over, under, over, under, okay? So you're just going to continue that all the way to the end. And when you get to the end down here, I'll show you what to do next to turn around. Okay, so I have completed my over, under, unders all the way down, and I'm coming out from this middle bead here. We're going to do the same thing we did here. So you're going to pick up 4 seed beads. You're going to go through the side hole of that end round trio. Then you're going to go through the 3 beads at the end of that round trio. And you're going to go down the other side hole. And then what I like to do here is, I'm just going to pop those up to the top so you can see them. There's those 4, okay? Pick up 4 more. And you're going to go through the other side hole on that round trio in the middle of that first group of beads. Okay, so that's our turnaround. What I like to do here is actually turn my whole piece around so that, again, I can work back the other way. It's just easier for me, okay? Probably be easier for you as well. What's happened here? I've got caught underneath. Oh no, that's where I'm coming out. Okay. All right, so we're gonna work the same as we did, but instead of going under, over, like you might think, because we're coming out from under here, we're gonna go over, under, okay? So go ahead, pick up your 11. Okay, so I've got my 11 and I am coming out on the top, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going under the next group and coming out on the top. So what you'll find is that it kind of, this bit's going over, under, and then it's going over, under, like the opposite. So it shouldn't be the same. It should be it shouldn't be, oh my goodness, there is like a really loud helicopter flying over my house. I'm very sorry if you can hear that. Okay, so yes, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be going under and over, like the two overs should be opposite. So see, here's an over and an over, okay? So they shouldn't both be on the same side. So you're just gonna repeat all the way down, and when you get to the end, just add your 4 little seed beads, and then you're basically done. You can just add your clasp and tie off, and that will be your bracelet complete. So I am going to finish doing this, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm doing for my clasp, okay? Okay, so I've made it down to the other end. I just need to pick up my 4 seed beads and go into my end right here. And then that'll just finish off the little ends, having those 4 seed beads, just kind of makes it more even. All right, give it a little tug, make sure there's nothing loose. And then I'm going to actually measure and see how long my bracelet is, because I'm not sure what I want to do at this point about a clasp. So let me just see, how long is it? All right, so it's about 7 1/4 inches. So anyway, I'll show you what I'm going to do at this end here. I decided I am going to use a wire guardian. So coming out from your bead at the end, you can just come out from that middle seed bead, okay? You can pick up your wire guard and push it down. Go into the other side of it, okay? Go through that middle seed bead again. And then go down through the next seed bead. Go straight down into the side hole of your round trio. Okay. And now you need to turn around, and nobody will notice if you just slip over into the other, as long as you go underneath these 2 threads right here, you can slip over into the other side, come back out and reinforce that wire guard, okay? So that's what I'm doing. So go through the first seed bead, and then here, instead of going through the middle and over, what I'm going to do is I'm just coming up the first seed bead, and I'm just going to go straight over the wire guard from that first seed bead into that 3rd seed bead, going through that wire guard on the way, okay? And this will be the end that I'm going to put my clasp on. I'm having trouble getting my thread to sit in the channel. There we are. Okay. And when you've done that at this end, which was not our starting end, but we do have a thread. Oh, it is our starting end actually. You can go through again under those 2 strands there, okay? I'm gonna go up through that side of my round trio right here, and I don't want that thread involved. Okay, and then I'm gonna actually just tie these 2 threads together in a knot. I always like to try and tie into threads that are already there if needed, okay? All right, so I can just weave those in, and this other starting thread I can also weave in. And then on the other side, I'll do the exact same thing. Let me show you closer. Okay. On this end, you're going to go down under these two, come back up here, go through two, add your wire guard, go through two, loop around again, and then go over your wire guard this way. And then you can just tie that thread off, okay? And that will be it. That's how you, and then you can attach any kind of clasp that you want because the wire guard is there, okay? Okay, so that is that, and hopefully you will try this bracelet. It's really simple and fun, and I love how it came out, really fun and colorful, but also quite classy and muted at the same time with the silver. So anyway, okay, I hope you've enjoyed this. Go and check out Potomac Beads if you need any of the supplies. I will, as I said, post what is available down below in the description. Okay, see you next week. Bye.